Hello world, it's me, Dennis, and welcome to another edition of Reasonably Spontaneous Conversation. Once again, we're returning to the roots of the program, which I did in 1979 in LA on Theta Cable. Yes, they had public access even back then. Well, one of my guests was a world-famous musician, a member of the Monkees. His name is Peter Tork, and the entire interview is here.
Do you have a turn button?
No, we have a turn button.
Oh, this is...
I don't even know. I'm not a technical human being.
So who is? I mean,
I'm
we're all milled of the same stuff, right?
No, I mean, there are technocrats, and there are emotionocrats.
Emotioncrats?
Emotionocrats, sure. This is Peter Tork. I'm Dennis Tardan. Peter Tork, how would you describe yourself? How do you introduce yourself? What would you say to people who are sitting there going, I know that face, I'm sure. Look at that smiling face, a smiling,
Relate to camera,
pleasant countenance. So how would you introduce yourself? Would you help?
Well,
me?
it depends on the context, of course.
All right, introduce you in the context of reasonably spontaneous conversation.
Where's my script?
No matter how hard I plan it, I have a difficult time being spontaneous.
My sentiments, exactly.
Exactly. So tell me, how would you describe yourself?
Well, presuming that everybody here has heard of me,
Yes.
that guise, of the kid, I would introduce myself as saying, hi, I'm the person you've heard of.
Uh-huh. The
And
Monkees, right? I mean, primarily is your identification.
Oh, the
through
primary,
there, right?
primary hell, this is it. That's it. There's just no... I mean, my public life began and ended with the Monkees with a few little, like, subterranean flare-ups, like cable TV interview shows.
That's right.
And which won't be seen in my hometown because you don't carry, Theta does not go into Venice.
No, they did.
You dogs. I mean, not
Poor
you, the audience,
Venice.
but you, the establishmentarian here.
Sure. Well, it's just a question of laying a few pipe.
Of course it is, and why should they lay pipe before the marina has taken over Venice? I mean, afterwards it'll be much more lucrative.
So you were playing as a monkey for a while and
Yeah.
had a lot of fun with
Playing
it.
and working.
A
And,
lot of fame.
Oh, yeah.
Was it a lot
The
of
most.
dreams realized for you?
No. A lot of conjectures were realized.
Yeah.
Not exactly.
What
dreams.
was realized for you? What was that time like for
What
you?
was realized? Well, I actually seem to have made and spent real money. Now that's a realization, you know. All that money as a realization. That's really something. It was very interesting because I thought, you know, I'd heard all the stories, flash in the pan successes who make a lot of money and then they go down the tubes. I said, this isn't going to happen to me.
Not Peter Tork.
No, not me. But as a matter of fact, I did not learn how to save my money, and I didn't know how to spend it either. I mean, you know, if I'd known how to spend it, at least I'd have had some more tangible results. The results I did have are almost entirely intangible. That is to say, there's a lot of people walking around who spent some very, very stoned times that they otherwise would not have spent, presumably. Although some of these people, I think, were professional finders of money, you know, and suckers up of other people's well-being. And I certainly, you know, basically the truth is that I had no serious, competent, concerned, involved professional money help.
Management.
Yeah, well, the management, I did have some management, but it either was not involved with me personally or did not stand to gain by my financial success. In other words, the management of the Monkees operation, you know, the less money I made, the more they made, so that our financial interests were divergent. Of course, every penny they paid me came out of their pocket, right? Divergent hell. They and the people who had financial interests, whose financial interests paralleled mine, that is, my money managers, did not have any understanding of my professional situation. They were a good and a competent crew, and I don't have too much to say against them, except that they did not know how to cope with the flash-in-the-pan type of success. They were accustomed to dealing with people who had made their money long and slow and hard over the long haul.
Yeah.
And
well, tell me
light at the end of the hall with
some of the intangibles that you glommed from this time?
Well,
Great experience.
I had some great fun. I did make an awful lot of records on my own account,
Yeah.
which I never would have gotten the chance to do. They just said, go ahead into the studio, you know, and I
so.
didn't even know I was paying for it at the time, but afterwards I found out, but I had that experience. Now I know how to produce a record. At least I know how to produce a record as of then.
Mm-hmm.
Production has not changed all that much since 8-track. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot more difference between 4-track and 8-track than between 8-track and 32-track, surprisingly enough, at least in my judgment.
Where
But
are you now, Peter?
Is this Tuesday? It must be Santa Monica.
It is. It is Santa Monica. And how are you a different human being than you were at that time?
Well, God, if I hadn't learned anything.
Well, you might not have. You could have
That's
been
true.
bitter and found you sleeping in the gutter, you know, in lower Venice.
I am in Lower Venice, thank you very much. And last night,
And
after
by
a
the
fight
way,
with my wife, I slept in the... no, Barbara, if you're listening, that's not true. I know, I'm kidding.
where are you now?
I'm in Venice,
Where are you here mentally?
Lower Mongolia.
Ah,
I don't know. A lot of what was true then about me is true now. I'm still boundlessly optimistic. I just have had to revise my time scale. That's all. I thought things were going to come together in a matter of, you know, a couple of decades. Now I think it's going to take a couple of centuries,
what is
if
coming
not
together?
millennia. Well, basically, I see it as an evolutionary necessity on the human part of the human race, to get serious for a while. An evolutionary necessity on the part of the human race
What a
to...
great set of words. I've never heard them put together like that.
Where's my notebook?
You
Right,
have
this
no,
is
you can't
copyright.
have notes on a spontaneous program.
I'm going to write this down. I'm not going to
You'll have
read
a
a note.
tape of it.
I do?
Yes.
Am I going to get a copy of this?
Congratulations. Where are you evolving to,
Wait a minute. Me personally?
Yeah.
I'm just... There's no goal. I mean, how are you going to have a goal? When you've got there, then what?
Yeah. I don't know. I know I'm trying
No,
to...
there is only process. The medium is the massage, as it were,
Yeah.
as we've heard.
You enjoy playing?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Playing with other... Like, we're beginning to play. We're finding out something about one another. You know, I'm trying to look into your eyes.
I'm
I
not
don't know what
at all
you're-
curious about you. I just want to put myself over to...
Just
broadcast,
have, right,
that's all, yeah.
I'm here for me.
That's
and
right. This is strictly a one-way street, Jack.
the hell with
I'm not interested in... Cable, I guess I can say nasty words, can I? Or can I?
In a way. Sure. You can't... You can say them, but people will sit back and go, that was in bad taste. So if you want people to go, that was in bad taste, you know, and then go ahead and say whatever you please. We don't edit.
No bleeps?
No bleep. So
What
tell
did he
me-
say?
Well, what I'm trying to do, and what is the purpose of the program, or where we're going, is to find out, because you had all these wonderful things that so many people out here seek.
I still
And now
haven't finished my previous reasonably spontaneous line of conversation over here, which was
develop
evolution.
that,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
This was the...
thought
this
you
was, wait a minute. Let me my serious mode. The system of interplay in this country and over the vast majority of the surface of the world, which values competition, individualism, and essentially aggression over the forces of cooperativism and community, as a system which is inherently damaging to each and every one of us and evolutionarily necessary to abandon the sucker and get on with the business of getting together. Because, as I once said in a reasonably spontaneous mode, we have to stick together or we're all going to come unglued together.
Well, I sure followed those last 8 or 10 words for sure. And so,
Capitalism is on the way down. Socialism and communism is the only conceivable way that we're going to be able to get... No, don't use those words. Communityism. Cooperativism. These are the things. Basically, capitalism fosters aggressiveness. And is based on...
capitalism.
Suit yourself, Jack.
No, in one sense, I want to discuss this with you. What an interesting...
Are you playing devil's advocate?
No, I'm playing mine in the sense that I say that whatever the market will bear. Yes, I did touch you.
That's all right.
whatever the market will bear, pay a price for it. So I'm
lovely,
happy
but
with that system.
you think so? But I mean, I see that you have, you know, jeans and a clean pressed shirt, and you're sitting and you're
live in a nice
glasses,
home.
that's
I'm
right,
warm.
that's right.
I'm nourished.
And now here's the situation. Insofar as there is just enough to go around,
yes,
every time somebody's got more than he needs, somebody else
Has
is less than they need
Sure.
and is dying of starvation and lack of material well-being. Insofar as there is more than enough to go around, maybe there's a little room for some people to play around with. However, until we get everybody to the level of they all have what they need and we're, you know, secure, at least on that material basis, we won't know whether there's enough to go around or not.
Yeah, you're right. Well, other than the material needs, where do you gain your nourishment from?
My nourishment? I pray.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm religious.
Me too.
I try and get in touch and stay contacted
meditate?
with the larger things. Sure.
Yeah, me too.
Sure.
Yeah, I feel those same.
In fact, I feel a way of
Right. Hey, reasonably
Nobody,
spontaneous meditation. Sure, that would be wonderful. Boring, but wonderful. We'd have a wonderful time. I guess that's what. Do you feel selfish? And are you selfish in the very positive sense? I mean, do you, if you're good for you?
There is, well, yes and no. It's very tricky. The words having various meanings.
English, how wonderful.
Yes, every word has 6 or 12 meanings, and you will remember each and every one of them. Self has got a smaller sense and a larger sense. And in the smaller sense, everything to the benefit of the self is to the detriment of other people. In the larger sense, that which benefits the self, the larger self, is to the benefit of all, because we all partake of that larger self. And so that the question lies in one's breadth of understanding.
Right. How do you deal with other human beings? I wasn't
My
cutting
mouth.
you off. No, I wasn't cutting you off, but I'm sitting here saying, putting myself in the position of so many people that would be listening to this conversation, or someone who is in a conversation going, okay, I have to deal with you in a business way. How do people see you? How do the people around you perceive you?
I don't know.
You don't know.
You want to ask my next door neighbor, or my friend Dada's over there?
Yeah,
How do you see me, Dot?
we can ask Dorothy.
She knows she doesn't have a microphone on, and it would
I
be
know,
pointless
but
to-
she's smiling, that beautiful smile.
Well, I guess we might take that for
yeah,
as
that's
a
good.
comment.
That's either embarrassment or she feels a great warmth for you. How do people perceive you? How do you feel?
How do I know how people perceive me?
Don't you ask?
No, I do try to draw some conclusions.
How does Barbara feel about you? How does she see you? How does she perceive you?
Barbara sees me as a mixed bag, but basically worth it.
A mixed bag, but all right.
But basically, that's essentially what we all think of each other, isn't it? I mean, except for some people who think other people aren't worth it. But
You think other people are, though?
yeah,
Well, you see, I'm finding it fairly... I wouldn't want to have interviewed you a few months ago before I had become more comfortable with my interviewing, because you would have blown me away. I wouldn't have known how to deal with your intellectual energy, or your because there is a great vastness there that doesn't always come out a lot of times, and it can be very intimidating. Do you intimidate people?
yeah, I'm afraid I do sometimes. I don't mean to particularly, but part of it's from that insecurity. You know, one of the reasons that people build up these skills at, say, intellectualization is
Feeding the monster.
well, it's out of insecurity, you know, and when you're raised thinking, and I was raised basically with the tenet of perfection is barely tolerable. If you know what I mean. Most of us have that kind of a standard, at least in certain areas. Some areas you slough, you stay shiny, you know, well, he's only a... But in other areas, if you're not perfect,
Sure.
it's intolerable. And so in that insecurity, you build up, what you call my vast... what did you say it was? The
I don't know.
vast...
That's
whatever-
intellectual storehouse.
Yeah, that was built up, and so that same insecurity will sometimes, you know, boom, here's my vast intellectual storehouse, chump. I'm sorry. So, you know, so people will get into people will, you know, Jesus, what a weirdo. I mean, this fellow said, penny wise and what is that? I said, penny wise and pound foolish. He said, yeah, I knew you'd know that. Yeah, I guess I walked right into that trap. The guy was really, I don't know. So, yeah, sometimes I'm sure people do feel intimidated, but obviously that's not my point. I have no innate desire to blow people away. I get a lot more understanding. I mean, when I'm laughing with people, that's basically my
I felt
feedback.
that. I felt that you came in here to laugh and came in here to play. Have you been able to achieve a balance between the two?
It's coming together.
Isn't that wonderful? God, that's
Magnificent.
exciting.
Yeah, that's something.
Is it coming in your writing?
Well, gee, I don't know. I haven't written anything.
Well, I mean, you wrote I listened to your biography, your autobiography, this little bio that you had, and there was some places in there. But still, I can see by this, it doesn't give me the picture of where you are. You were very guarded in this. You wrote this, but yet you were very guarded in what you were.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to make. I mean, if I'd got loose, everybody would have said. I didn't want to write essentially an advertisement for myself. I wanted to be straight ahead. Yeah. You know, here's a bio, and you know, what am I going to do? Basically, people write their own bios. Essentially, nobody writes other people's. I mean, you may get a publicity agent, but the essence is to get the facts as the person himself wants to say them. And still, you don't want to go blowing your own horn to such an extent that people go, God, this guy's never going to make it. Look at that swelled head on this cat.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what will be making it for you?
Oh, professionally?
Yeah.
Modest little career, enough to keep my act together. Put a little away for the rainy day. Yeah, I don't expect or need anything similar to the last time around. I hope to be able to perform, since it's one of my favorite pastimes.
Great.
Essentially, concert tours, records, parts on TV shows. I don't need to be Robert Redford. I mean, Robert Redford is not. I mean, Robert Redford, he wants to be, obviously, or he'd quit being. But essentially, I know
somebody's got to be Robert Redford.
Yeah, right. And I mean, from my own big deal. No, they don't. I mean, if he wants to be the
slot open for Robert Redford, and he's filled it so well. He
I'm
does
not sure.
it well.
I think well, who knows? Listen, that's a whole other matter. That's one for beers late at night.
All right. Well, so I ask you, where will train of thought just left the station without me, and I was left standing on the platform. No, there's no station breaks. We just go right through.
This station may break.
Success is what I was talking about. How wonderful it went into reverse and came back for me.
I thought of a license plate. S-U-X-S. Success.
Success.
It's obscene, but it's funny. Anyway, success. Success for me is getting. As a matter of fact,
what's preventing you from realizing? That was it. What is preventing you from realizing these things right now? I see the intellectual capacity. I see you probably play and sing very well. And I remember.
I was going to bring my guitar.
Yeah. So tell me what is preventing this from happening right now?
Where's my karmic reader? Where's my tarot card? I haven't thrown the ching. I don't know.
It's no longer in your control, huh?
Well, I don't know what it is. No, I only recently got back into trying to make it. It was only like late last fall. Before that, the success thing, the real success, the previous success, seemed so gratuitous. It seemed so chancy, and I mean, and it served a lot of people to remind me of the randomness of it, and nobody reminded me of the coherence of it, the naturalness of it. For instance, as I was thinking about these things, a lot of people said, just some guy off the street, and I said, gee, I just was some guy off the street. They said, no talent. I said, well, I know I'm not really all that talented. And they said, well, it's just any four guys could. I said, gee, that isn't quite. And now I'm thinking, well, gee, I beat out 300 or 400 guys, at the interviews and so the auditions. We auditioned hundreds of guys to try out for this thing, and I got the part. On the other hand, well, you just got the part because of random circumstances, but, I mean...
Have you dealt with a heavy unworthiness?
Yes, I was heavy unworthiness.
Me too.
Yeah, heavy unworthiness. But I'm getting over that.
How?
Well, therapy.
Yeah?
Yeah,
me too. I have a wonderful, loving family around.
That's lovely. I just finished, I just terminated a group that I was in, whose main support, not prop. Prop is a lousy word in the sense of support and prop and support. The support was that people, and listen, you out there watching, Mr. and Mrs. America, the vast majority of people in the country today believe themselves to be inherently, deeply, uniquely, and rarely flawed. Everybody thinks that they, unlike everybody else, are badly broken and out of whack in some kind of way. The physiologically...
Where did you get this piece of information?
The group. Everybody walked into that group. Everybody in that group was unique, rare, specially, had their own strengths and their own humanity. And in the sense of that group, the beauty of a group like that, and I don't think you need a professional therapist.
The monkeys?
No, I'm talking about my therapy groups.
Okay.
The monkeys were no kind of support group.
Okay.
I mean, they were a mixed bag.
I'm sorry. I need to be in the same mode you are.
Well,
That's
please
great.
check me out if I'm not. If we're not communicating.
All right, we're talking about the group right here. The
therapy group I was in brought people in, each one of whom felt that there was something uniquely and specially wrong with them.
Yeah.
And to the contrary, I observed that each and every one of them was perfectly viable human being, perfectly ready to go out and be people.
Right.
They had strengths, and they discussed their own problems, and they'd take on these tones, and the utter helplessness in the face of the overwhelming onslaught. Anybody else come up with a problem, no matter how similar, no matter how parallel, no matter how equal in strength, and they would be there with ideas, concrete, constructive, formative ideas, and people would be, supporting each other all the time. And I realized finally that the vast majority of people, and I began to notice people's eyes, everybody, people walk around like this, and people walk around like this, and like this, and everybody compensating or or fighting or struggling, basically with their own little core idea of inadequacy. Now, it's a lie. Everybody, the vast majority of people in this country, in fact, in all of the cultures that I know anything
yourself included,
serious about, except that I'm out of it, and I'm beginning to get out of it.
To get out of it.
See, what I was saying at the beginning. The coalescing, the therapeutic coalescing is the bringing together of your own capacity for objective analysis and support, together with your own child, that is your adult and your child, to use the transactional analysis terms.
What a wonderful thing.
The child in you is, of course, insecure and dependent, and the adult in you, of course, is independent and secure and aware. But people in a schizophrenia, which incidentally means broken-heartedness as well as broken-mindedness, if you go back to the Greek roots. Isn't that interesting? Phrene means heart and mind. It's the same thing in the Greek language. Schizophrenia means broken-heartedness, not only broken-mindedness. So, in their schizophrenic situation,
how beautiful.
Their adult and their child don't relate very well. They do not stroke themselves in real ways, because they've been told they're not allowed to. You don't get to say that you're all right.
Can you use the term we rather than they?
Well, I'm beginning to come together. I'm talking about
the people who... I realize that, but
we, all right.
More
by all means, Doctor.
Because they almost puts them out of the room, and we're in a different place. But I just need that for me, because I do this interview for me.
Right on. Let's struggle forth. We, as a culture,
as a people,
tend to remove ourselves from our own support systems, and this happens interpersonally as well as intrapersonally. That I don't do that as very well by myself, and people do not support me, and I do not support people, except in rare circumstances, as we are beginning to come together, as in the therapeutic group I was talking about.
Yeah.
Now, so this brings me back to what I said earlier. We are uniquely, most of us feel that we are uniquely, deeply, and specially flawed, unlike anybody else. And this is a lie, which has been foisted on us by those people who would like to keep us separate in order to keep us working against each other. Wait a minute, I'm not done yet, because this final thing brings me back to my political argument, because the psychological and the political, of course, are not separate. Our psyches and our polities are... As long as we keep ourselves separate, and as long as we go on the basis that one person's gain is another person's loss, we are going to go on a basis where we are going to regard that as true in the national economy, too. But the converse is truer. That is, that as we shift over to a cooperative, where working together is the main emphasis, and individual effort is the lesser emphasis, we will all gain much more rapidly. And that is why I promote the communityist and cooperativist systems as opposed to capitalist... Thank you. End of speech.
And I am very glad to know that there is someone out there, yourself, promoting that position and promoting that place, because it's a wonderful place to come from. And I understand it. All I am saying, my point of view, and it is not at all from a different place, I think it's another spoke of the same wheel, is that there isn't someone out there, there isn't a they out there that has their act together so well. They're sitting up there going, I'm going to pit them against them.
No, you're quite right.
And they don't know psychologically. They don't sit up there and go,
Gotcha.
I have it all together.
Right, gotcha. Well, in the sense that they're wrong, because anybody who says, I've got it all, I've got mine, Jack,
Yeah.
you know, and screw you,
Sure.
is essentially
We'll
saying
fall.
we're broken apart. We are a
Yes.
broken people, and it's eat every man for himself in this dog-eat-dog world. That's the theoretical basis.
And that system has to fail.
Must
it has
fail.
a
Must fail.
built-in failing system.
Marx said it.
Well,
I say it. You and I are saying it.
Hitler fell, Nixon fell. Anytime that something like this comes in, it's automatically a built-in failure to it. I mean, it's almost an
Well,
automatic cleansing process. The
Yes,
ocean
I agree.
disperses the oil slick and eats it back up.
Yeah, but except that the.
Well, I know
All
that
right, then I
was
won't go
an
into that.
incredible.
I won't go into that one.
You know, but I'm still saying so far we've done it, even though we've done punishing things to Mother Earth.
Yeah. You're right. There is no individual saying, "Let's you and him fight."
Right.
But there is. I mean, some people do actually say this, but there still isn't anybody saying this. Now, let me try and explain this, Mr. and Mrs. Theta Cable Watcher.
Who is that out there? I mean, we don't know, but I have a feeling
I'm watching
that
us
they're
on the
more
monitor.
like. Well, I've noticed you watching you on the monitor.
It's one of my favorite pastimes.
Yeah. How do you enjoy looking at? Yeah.
Interfering with the little orthicon
What's an orthicon?
device, what a television set is all about.
Oh.
Orthicon tube is the actual.
How do you, when you see yourself, and lately I've been looking in the mirror and seeing a different person that I've never seen before, which is an interesting thing for me to look at, and you're seeing a lot of things happen inside of you now?
Mm-hmm. So, I don't see it so much
How
when I
old
look
a
in the
person
mirror.
are you?
How old a person am I?
Yeah.
I love this one. 62?
62? You
28?
don't look.
No, I don't.
Oh.
Do you want the truth?
Yes.
37.
37 years old. 37 years old. Isn't it time you settle down?
Yes, stop this goofing about.
How old are you already? Oh, God. I'm 31. So were you political during that time? Would it have hurt you? Oh.
Apparently, I don't know. I have only got their word to go on. They said that essentially, I mean, the first interview I had, I said the Vietnam War has got to be stopped and Johnson's wrong, and the producers were on me like a ton of bricks, and they insisted that I call the reporter and ask her to, you know, to downplay that as much as she could find it. And so what they said was essentially some relatively controversial remarks were greeted with hysteria. No, she didn't say that. But, there was some mild comment to the effect that Peter's remarks were frowned upon.
Who do you listen to musically? Who are the people that touch your particular strings or harmonics within you?
Yeah.
I can't believe you're having a difficult time with that question.
Isn't it amazing? I don't listen to music much. I put on the radio.
That's like a writer who doesn't read. I've never heard of one.
Well, but
And you watch your